Yeah, right.
Three. Welcome, everybody, to Geezy Truth News. It is October 2nd, 2025. We have a VIP today. Her name is Ines from Portugal. She's an author. She wrote a book called 30 Days, and she's got a website called mindresetwing.substack.com. Just how it's spelled is how it sounds. And thank you very much for coming on the show. And what would you like to talk about? Please talk your piece and let's begin. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here as well. Well, I thought maybe we could talk about my book. It's actually a 40 pages ebook that I created from scratch, and it's uh, it's it's about your mind and your power, that you're not a prisoner of your mind. Perception shapes reality, and freedom, your inner sovereignty that we all have, but most people don't know they have their inner sovereignty. And about truth as well, the truth I speak about in the book, and that self ownership as well. And yeah, it's about it.
Okay, would you consider yourself a freedom thinker? Tell us more about the book and how what you why did you write it and all that.
Well, yeah, I consider myself a free thinker. I wrote my book because I went through my awakening like 15 years ago, when my life collapsed, and I lost everything, and and I thought, what I'm gonna do now? I almost died as well. I had to get emergency surgery, and it took a long time for me to recover. And during my recovery, I had a lot of time to think about what happened and what should I do about it. So, when I felt better, I got up, I dusted all off, and I decided to restart my life. And I don't know if you know, I also work with music, with techno music, and I've been working with music for 32 years, and I've been producing and releasing music for 15 years. That's when I decided to ditch my former name as an artist, and to ditch the genres of music that I was playing as well, and only kept one that's techno music. And I changed my name and basically started my career. For me to dust it all off, get up, and restart my life, it wasn't easy. I was waking up to the truth of the world. I was waking up about myself. I thought for a long time about how I was. I was a very different person than I am now. I was very arrogant, and I thought the world existed to serve me. And this comes from my narcissistic mother as well. But at that time, I snapped out all of it. And I used tools that I wrote in my book that helped me to get over it and to recover and to change myself and to understand my inner power and to understand my sovereignty and to understand my perception of the world. That's what my book is about. Uh, so now I wrote a book earlier this year, at the start of the year, and I decided that after the last 5 years, especially, people are very lost. People, are all confused, are all lost. They don't know what to do. They go from one side to another and completely lost. They don't know the power they have inside of them. They have all the power in their hands and they don't realize it. So I thought it was the right time to actually write the book, created and launch it in the world, and write essays about the main topics of my book, and to help people overcome their pain and overcome their fears and their shame and their guilt and all of that in limiting beliefs. I dedicated a whole chapter to limiting beliefs, and so people can prosper in their life and feel better about themselves and lose all the fears and lose all the shame and guilt that are constructs and the leash that the state and the world uh, put on them around their necks, and they can ditch all of it. They can uh, free themselves from all of that. So that's why I wrote the book.
Wow, that's great. So, and by the way, all the info, Inesh's info website and book will be in the description. So, can I ask you what this thing that happened 15 years ago, or this arc point, can we discuss what happened there? Like you said, your life fell apart 15 years ago. What happened? Can we talk?
Well, I ended a 4 years relationship with a man that did a lot of bad things to me, and he, well, to be honest, he was addicted to drugs, and I thought it was time for me to end it, and and make him see that he too could change, that he could have a better life and everything. But and I think he did for a while, but now I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. Anyway, because I almost died, I got very sick. Uh, it changed the whole perspective in life. When you get a scare like that, I remember when I went to the doctor, he told me, "I'm glad you came today, because if you came in 3 days, I wouldn't see you. That would mean that I will be dead." So it was good that I went to see a doctor at that time.
Wow.
He said, "Today you have to go to the hospital and stay there." And I needed blood transfusion and iron. And so, because I was totally anemic, and I had to get all that for 5 days before the surgery for me to get stronger, because I was very weak due to that. And if I didn't have the blood transfusion and intravenous iron, I would die. So uh, I stayed there for 5 days, and then I went to a clinic and got my surgery, and then yeah, I got better. Now I'm alive still.
That's great. What was the surgery? So, what was the prognosis? What was the deal?
It was I had many cysts, and it wasn't cancer, but it was almost like that. I
Gotcha.
almost had blood cancer, uh, but it wasn't. So they had to remove all my lady bits, like my ovaries and my womb, and they removed them and closed it again, and yeah, that was the only way for me to survive.
Wow. So, okay, so this all happens, and then you get the epiphany. You get these epiphanies, and you want to you realize that you know you open your eyes to more free thinking, and you write this book. So, what's what's the lessons there? What were the epiphanies? Why do you think all these people are so many people are closed, and you realize that you had this epiphany that you need to be more free thinking?
Because I always, since I was a child, I always questioned everything. I always asked a lot of questions, and I didn't really believe in everything I learned in school. Uh, I knew that there was something off with the world, but I didn't know what. I was very innocent still at the time. And then I stumbled across some information, uh, and I started digging. I started looking at it, and I started digging and digging and digging, and went through all the rabbit holes, all possible rabbit holes in these 15 years, and I never stopped. And I thought that, you know, people had to know this truth, not just the truth about the world, but the truth about ourselves, that we have been conditioned and indoctrinated since birth, and that nothing what they say we are is true. None of it. We have all the power in our hands. We are sovereign beings. We can have our own perception of the world, and the world exists because of our perception. And freedom is inner sovereignty as well. So, of course, truth comes at a cost. Uh, I lost friends, and and people thought that I was crazy, and it wasn't like that. I think we all went through that, but then I went through another phase that I was getting very angry at the world, and I was getting very upset about everything, and the people not waking up, and oh, my dog. And uh, then I learned how to distance myself from all of it. It's not that I don't feel it. It's not that I'm not sad about the world or still a bit angry, but I learned how to distance myself from everything because otherwise I would go mad. I didn't want to go mad. So, and today I feel in peace with myself and everything that is happening in the world. I don't like it. I do my part, and that's the main thing. I've done my part all these 15 years, and I feel good about it, and I sleep good at night, and I don't have any regrets.
Wow, that's great. So what is the truth? Give us a couple examples. You said, you say being sovereign, that we're, free people.
It
What?
means that you can be free in your mind. It means that uh, it means that if you're free in your mind, if you know the truth, if you know and use your common sense and your discernment to see what the truth is and what is false, that's your freedom. You have the freedom to choose. You have the freedom to choose between right and wrong. Basically, it's that, and self ownership. Everything is on you. If you choose right, then you choose right, then it's okay. If you choose wrong, that's on you too. You have to live with the consequences of your choices, always, because everything is on you, nobody else. And that's what's called self-ownership and freedom. You are free to choose, but you are also free to live with the consequences of your choices. So you better choose right instead of wrong, right?
Right. Yeah, that's great. So, wow. So how things so Portugal, tell us more a little bit about that. I mean, so you've been telling people about your book and about the truth and you know p- how does Portugal feel about that? Or you tell your friends in Port like what are the Portuguese people? Are they free?
Well,
Are they closed? How's it? What's your opinion on that?
well, to be honest, I've distanced myself from everyone since like a few years ago. Just me and my dog at home. Uh, I dedicated my time to write my book and now to write my essays on Substack as well. I don't pay much attention to Portugal's politics either. I focus more on abroad, on other countries, and I'm going to tell you why. Because as an artist, Portugal gave me a lot in the past, like back in the 90s, early 2000s. Uh, but then Portugal ignored me totally. The whole country. It's not just some promoters or some people. It was the whole country. The whole country turned the back to me because I always worked alone. I always did everything alone. I get my gigs alone. I travel alone, and I do everything alone. And they didn't like that. They didn't like that a woman did everything alone. It didn't need them. They needed me. I had a artist agency in the past until like 2001. After 9/11, people couldn't travel so much. There was all these restrictions after 9/11, like it was with COVID. Um, so I was losing money, so I decided to stop the agency, stop my activity and everything. And then that's when everyone turned their backs to me, even though I helped all of them. I helped them. I gave them gigs. I organized tours in Portugal, Spain, and other countries and everything. But, they wanted me for my agency, for how I could help them. So since then, Portugal basically ignored me. So I decided to ignore Portugal too. I give them as much attention as they give me, which is none. And that's why I write everything in English, and that's why I focus on abroad instead of my country.
Wow, that's very interesting. So, would you say that Portugal is how would I say it? What? So they're against strong, independent women. They don't. Is
Yeah, it is. It's very
misogynist?
patriarchal.
Are they okay?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, yeah. It is very sexist. Um,
Hmm.
it's a very old country as well. Uh, Portugal is a very nice country to visit. We have very, very nice spots, and people are friendly to tourists and everything. They're very friendly only because they want to sell them something. That's why they're friendly, not
Of
because
course.
they are friendly, out of the goodness of their hearts. But Portugal is very nice to visit. Not to live, though. To live here is a nightmare because it is a socialist country. The economy is down the drain totally. Everything is overpriced. Uh, Minimum wage is very low for comparing to the inflation. Uh, I'll give you an example. Portugal minimum wage is 800 euros. If you want to rent a room, just a room, a bedroom, not a flat, not an apartment, just a bedroom, without a bathroom, just a bedroom, uh, it starts at 500 euros. So if your minimum wage is 800, it starts at 500 to rent, then it goes up to 600, 700, 9, even more. Then, you don't have enough to live. You don't have enough to eat. You don't have enough for everything that you need for a whole month. So, people work overtime and don't get paid for overtime either. If they complain and want overtime pay, they get fired because there's 500 more that are willing to do that same job for less money. So,
Wow.
employers don't care. They just don't care. They make people work overtime without pay, and if they complain, they're fired. That's it. That's how it is here. It's a socialist country, like I said. We have the highest prices in all Europe for everything, for food, for basic needs. We have free health care, but it's so bad. It's so terribly bad. People die in waiting rooms in hospitals, waiting, if they need a consultation or treatment or something. They die waiting for 12 hours, 15 hours, 24 hours in the waiting room. If you go private, it's so overpriced, nobody can afford either. So that's the truth.
I'm so glad you mentioned all that because that's really I'm crazy It's hard to describe all that stuff because, over here in the US, we have a lot of propaganda saying how, great, these socialist countries in Europe are, how great everybody's doing. So the fact that you're saying the complete opposite, I'm so glad that you mentioned that stuff because this is why we do these shows because these propaganda channels that they talk, the media, CNN, the mainstream media and whatever, they say how everything's fantastic. And then when you talk to real people like you're saying that it's not all rainbows and sunshine. It's actually pretty
No,
bad.
no. Yeah, exactly. People think, especially Americans, they think socialism is very good. It's going to save the country.
Yeah.
So I tell them, come over to my own country, stay here for a while,
Yeah.
go to the hospitals, the overcrowded hospitals, see the people die in the waiting rooms, and lay in, along the corridors in all hospitals. They are not in rooms; they are in the corridors. You have to go somewhere. You pass by them everywhere. Uh, so that's socialism for them. It's not good at all.
Is there a lot of crime and homelessness there?
Yes, that is. Yeah, especially after the last 5 years, there is a lot of homelessness. We have thousands in Lisbon, at the capital. Here in Porto, where I live, not as many as in Lisbon, but we still have a lot. We have thousands also. You know, there's no help for them. There's a few people that go with a van around the city and give them like a soup and a piece of bread or tea, hot tea and a piece of bread, but that's it. They go once a day in the evening or at night. There are a few vans that do that, but that's it. They still have to, sleep outside, sleep in the streets, and they don't have any other help.
Isn't that interesting? So the socialism that they claim isn't really working then.
Of course not. Never did, never will, ever. None. It doesn't matter. Actually, it doesn't matter if it's communism, if it's socialism, if it's democratic or whatever. It's all the same in the end. They still exploit you, they still rob you, they still impose their rules on you, they still do all that, and they cage you in a cell for no reason and no victim's crime. They all do that. So, America, they say it's democratic republic, but in the end, it's not, because if you cage people with no victims, with no real crime, like with marijuana, and they spend years incarcerated in a cage just for that, then how is that democracy? Democracy doesn't exist anywhere on the planet. It's a lie, like all the rest of it. It's all a lie.
It's incredible because, yeah, there's so many people here because of the propaganda and whatnot. There's a lot of people here who are just jumping into socialism, and we have a lot of people saying that they're very interested in this and that. And we need more people like you who actually live in socialist countries and say, you people are morons, and that
Yeah,
this is, read a book for once in your life and just
read
look
my
around.
book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
read your
yeah,
book and read and
yeah.
look around at places that actually try the socialism crap and see that it clearly doesn't work. And we have a lot of, there's a lot of things going on here too. So it's really amazing. So
Yeah,
what are the
I know, I know. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're good.
I've been in America 3 times. I've been to Detroit, and I've been twice to Los Angeles. So I've seen firsthand how it is there.
Right.
I've seen, I didn't just hear about it. I've seen it with my
Yeah.
own eyes because I've been there 3 times. And what I love Detroit. I love the people in Detroit. I went to play a gig there. Uh, I didn't stay for very long, of course, because I went as an artist. So you play the gig, you stay 1, 2 nights, and then you leave. But the promoter took me around the city and took me to a museum and everything. And we went to a barbecue as well, to some friend's house. And we could talk a lot. We could, see a bit of the city, and he drove me around and everything, and so I could see it. Same in Los Angeles. I've been there twice. I stayed for a week, so a bit longer. I went to Las Vegas as well because they wanted to show me. It's not very far from Los Angeles. And I could see the difference. I could see from the first time I went to LA to the second time. It is very different. It is, and you can see the bad neighborhoods. You can see the people on the street. You can see the ethics and everything. So yeah, is that democracy working? No, it's not.
So do you see parallels between Portugal and the cities that you visited, Los Angeles, Detroit?
Yeah, a
They're
bit.
very similar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's decay everywhere.
You see the
There's
homeless
decay in
decay,
the
right?
yeah. There's decay in the cities here. There's people on the street. There's ethics still, not as many because one of the good things that a government did years ago is not the same as now, so it was another one, was to decriminalize all drugs. Portugal was the first country in the world to do that.
Oh, wow.
Uh, they decriminalized all drugs from heroin to coke to marijuana to everything.
Wow.
It's different for marijuana than it is for heroin, for example, but they are all decriminalized, which means that if you are caught on the street or in a raid with a certain amount, if it doesn't go over that amount, then you're not arrested, then they let you go. Uh, any
Did,
drug, it doesn't matter which.
right, and we have the same policies here in Seattle. So did that work in Portugal?
Yeah, it did work because they offered help as well. They went through the drug neighborhoods and they destroyed a few. They went with the bulldozers and destroyed everything. And they offered help to the addicts if they wanted to, to get clean, to go sober. They could. If they didn't, um, they offered the syringes and they offered all what they needed for free, but they also offered a treatment if they wanted to get,
Oh, so
so
it
it's
did
up to
work in
them.
Portugal. So it did work in
Yeah,
Portugal.
yeah, in that way it
Interesting.
did. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
then Seattle
You
needs to
don't,
take a page off Portugal's book then, because whatever Seattle tried, it was complete failure. It's just a massive amounts of corruption. They did the same thing here, and they decriminalized drugs, but all it did was they decriminalized the laws. So it was just more drug dealers, more drugs, and more. It was just more homelessness, more criminal, more criminals, more
because they
crime,
did
more
it.
this and that. So,
Yeah, because they didn't do it in the same way we did. You
mhm,
know,
very
we
interesting.
we yeah. The law says that until a certain amount, like I don't know, a gram or what, I don't know the amounts. I'm just saying. Uh, then you're not arrested. You're not caged. Like if you
Mhm.
have a certain amount of marijuana, that's stupid. It's so stupid that
Sure.
it's a victimless
Right.
crime. It's not
Right.
even a crime because it's a plant.
Well, we're not talking about the weed. We're talking about like the fentanyl and the meth or the hard drugs.
Yeah,
And that they,
yeah.
in Seattle, you can have like an ounce of fentanyl, ounce of drugs, and you could just walk away. Like cops don't care, nobody cares. So it's yeah, we have pretty insane policies over here. But so let
Yeah,
me ask,
yeah. Now I was just gonna say that that's the difference.
yeah.
They told cops to let go those with less amount that it is allowed, and just arrest those that have that are supposed to be selling. You cannot sell.
Yeah,
So those are the ones that got arrested,
right.
not arrest.
So so you said that you don't really talk to many people in Portugal anymore, but you're saying like are people getting tired of the socialism there, or like are people like, waking up, or does everybody
Yeah.
love the socialism there? Everybody's happy.
No, everybody hates it, but not many people are waking up.
Interesting.
Portuguese are very complacent, and
Mhm. Seems
they
like most people are.
yeah, and they are very lazy too
I'm
in that way.
I'm noticing, it's a strange coincidence that it seems like all the countries have very similar problems. And I don't know, maybe that's just humanity or if it's somebody's designing it like that or what, but it just seems odd to me that all the countries have all the same similar problems, you
Yeah, I
think people
think
would wake
so.
up.
It's a global problem because there's a global agenda. So the
Right.
problems are similar in all countries. It's not something local. I see sometimes Americans complaining about this or that, and I say, no, that's a global issue. It's a global problem. Don't make it local because not just in America, it's everywhere on the planet because it's a global agenda. So it's the same agenda everywhere in the world.
Right. So to wrap things up, so you wrote the book 30 Days, you got your website that you blog on, and hopefully people are reading it and waking up. And do you have anything to tell the people?
I don't know. I was thinking maybe to read a little bit, not the entire essay, but maybe a part of one of my essays. What do you think on Substack?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Say,
Okay, just a moment. I have them open here. Oh, all right. Uh, this one, right. This one is called Sovereignty and Ethics, a manifesto for owning yourself and walking the line of true ethics. So, wait. Let me just do something here. Okay, the first part is called The Lie of Borrowed Ethics. Most people do not own themselves. They confuse obedience with virtue, compliance with morality. The law tells them what to do, culture tells them what to value. Religion tells them what to believe, and parents tells them what to fear. And they call it ethical, they call it moral, but it is not. It is rented behavior performed by humans who have never asked, who am I? Borrowed ethics is a refuge, a lie, a cage. No badge, no law, no scripture can substitute for the fire of owning every choice. So that was the first part. And then the next part is called The Weight of Sovereignty, that I can read a little bit too. So self ownership is unbearable. It drags you into a marrow of responsibility. Every impulse, every decision, every act yours. No shield, no excuses, no orders. The mirror waits, the conscience waits, the weight